All right, guys, welcome to another Source Gaming discussion. Today with me, I have Liquid12A. Hey, Liquid.
Hello.
And I am your host for this discussion, Spazzy D. So let's discuss today Bethesda as a company and their representatives in a new possible Smash game. So Bethesda's kind of in a strange situation right now where they've kind of become the hot third party as far as Nintendo fans are concerned, especially Western third party for the Switch. They've thrown some support in. It's not, honestly, it consists right now of basically 3 games. But, for the first year to have that announced in the first year of the consoles, pretty good. All of them are late. None of them are 2 of them are older ports. Skyrim's 5 years old right now. Doom is a game that's available on a myriad of other platforms for a while. But I mean that's still good support. And although Wolfenstein will be coming out later, a lot of that probably has to do with them just getting all of the resources together and the experience to make things on the Switch. So, I mean, it looks very good, especially when you compare them to, a lot of other third parties. The only other Western third party that I think can really compare, when you think about it, is something like Ubisoft. And Ubisoft right now hasn't really been throwing the best at the Switch, but we'll see how that goes. So, what do you think about the Bethesda's support right now and how their relationship is with Nintendo?
I'd say it's actually pretty good, all things considered, that they're willing to throw in their support so early. I mean, ever since the initial Switch presentation when we saw Skyrim supposedly running on the Switch, I mean, it was unbelievable at the time. Some people I knew who couldn't see the presentation at the same time we were, when I shouted, "Oh my god, it's Skyrim on this new Nintendo console." Nah, they couldn't believe it, but it was there apparently, so the fact that they throw their hat into the ring this early, I guess they're going to have a strong relationship going forward.
Right, and and Skyrim is an interesting one because Skyrim is a game, like I said, that's been out for a while. It's a very popular game. It's really the Elder Scroll series in general are kind of the games that popularized the Western style of open world RPG, and Skyrim was definitely kind of the pinnacle of that. At the same time, though, it came out in 2011, so that's 6 years. It's 6 years. Yeah, this month. 6 years this month. So it's not a new game, and it's that by itself kind of made me feel like it was kind of just token inclusion. But now that they're showing more, I'm excited. I hope that whatever the next Elder Scrolls game is, it will come onto a Nintendo platform.
Right.
So I mean, let's start there. Let's start with Elder Scrolls in general, and I guess Skyrim in particular. My issue with a lot of kind of with a game like Skyrim, and with any Elder Scrolls game, is that sure, you're playing as the Dragonborn, the Dovahkiin, right? But also, the game is so much about customization that there's not even like a default avatar. I guess there's a default helmet style you could give somebody, but at the same time, your character in that game, I mean, you could be heavily focused on magic or physical combat. You can be a lizard person or a cat person or an elf or whatever, a vampire. Like, the game is so open-ended that it would be very hard for me to think of a character whose look and moveset in something like Smash would really represent what Skyrim is,
Well, yeah, but at the same time, I'm going to go a slightly bit off topic here. I mean, like the original character representing a game, I mean, that's been done recently, actually, when you think of the much controversial Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite and its inclusion of the Monster Hunter, a nameless female Monster Hunter just there, which was which, if you remember, was originally rejected for the past game because they didn't want to have a face for the series. So, in terms of that same concept being applied to someone from the Elder Scrolls or maybe even Skyrim, I mean, it's not impossible, but it is a valid complaint.
I mean, I get it, but I feel like Skyrim's kind of on another level. Like, yeah, in Monster Hunter, you pick your gender and some of your, some other slight customization. Like I said, here you can be like a lizard person, you know?
Yes.
And there's such a large variety of like what you can do in these games that like it would. I feel like almost no matter what you do with the character, it would never be like, oh, that actually feels like my character from Skyrim, you know?
Yes.
And I think for right now, if we had a character, it would have to be Skyrim. From Skyrim, it would have to be, like I said, the Dovahkiin. Skyrim is the only, I mean, it doesn't matter that a game only comes out on a Nintendo system, but it's the only one that has any relation to Nintendo. So I mean, that does, that is points in its favor. Number one. Number two, it's by far the most popular series in the game. Game in the series. Because I personally have played Morrowind and Oblivion as well. But they were much more niche. Skyrim was kind of this big crossover thing where all of a sudden everybody knew about the series and everybody was super excited about it. I think Morrowind also was kind of an important one because that was I think the first one on a console. It was on the original Xbox, because before these were just like, just PC games. And a little bit off topic, but I think the original Xbox did a lot actually for taking genres that were PC only and companies that were primarily PC games, that primarily made PC games, and had them enter the console space. The original Xbox. Well, I mean, first-person shooters and Western RPGs are the big ones for sure. And I feel like the Xbox doesn't get, like the original Xbox doesn't get enough kind of respect for what it did in that. Some people might not like it because the gaming before then was very segregated, where you had, I feel like, more certain type of games on PCs and certain type of games on consoles, and now it's much more of a mix.
Right.
And I feel like Morrowind was part of that, and that's why I'm talking about this. Morrowind, was... But once again, you could take a faceless avatar from Morrowind or from Oblivion or from Skyrim, and yeah, there's going to be some aesthetic differences you could do, but once again, basically it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be like, hey, generic Elder Scrolls protagonist.
Of course.
I don't know, that's my thoughts on it. Like, I think people would be excited about it, for sure. I think it would be something that, like, people would talk about, We haven't had a Western third party. I've said this over and over again, but the only character developed by a Western studio in all of Smash Brothers right now is Diddy Kong. And he is part of the Donkey Kong franchise, which is not a Western franchise. So it would be a departure to get a character like that. Like for any of the Bethesda reps. That's definitely part of it. It's also a character that wouldn't have to be a sword user, but they'd probably have a sword, right? Just another character with a sword.
Watch out, they're going to be confused for a Fire Emblem character.
Right, yeah, that's probably it. I don't know, what are your overall thoughts on kind of an Elder Scrolls or Skyrim in particular rep?
I already said my main thought about it a few minutes ago with the whole Monster Hunter comment, so I really have nothing to add, but if anything, it's probably going to be based on Skyrim, since, like we said, it's the most popular thing ever. Like, Oblivion and the other entries are just there, honestly.
Well, let's move on to, and as far as reps go, it would just have to be your avatar character, right? I couldn't really think of who else from that game.
Yeah, there's literally no other character that stands out for the logistics of a playable slot, so...
Yeah.
Tough.
Alright, so let's move on to the other big game that just released on the Nintendo Switch, and is actually a game, as opposed to the Elder Scrolls and Skyrim, that has a history on Nintendo consoles, and that's Doom. Doom. So the thing about Doom is that all the way back to the Super Nintendo, there was a Doom port. I believe the first official portable version of Doom, I mean, I could be wrong, there could be one on another system I'm not thinking of, was actually the Game Boy Advance version. And then there was Doom 64, which was kind of a wholly unique experience. I mean, not wholly unique, it was built very much off of Doom and Doom 2. But it was a unique story, and it was actually a unique entry into the franchise. So Nintendo does have like an exclusive Doom game in Doom 64. And now they have, with the 2016 Doom Revival reboot, they have a version of that on the Switch. So that's actually 4 games in that franchise on a Nintendo consoles, which I think is the same as Metal Gear when Snake came out, right?
What a coincidence.
Right? Because there was the 2 Metal Gear NES games. I know people don't like to count Metal Gear 2 because it wasn't a Kojima game, but you know what? It is part of the Metal Gear franchise. It says Metal Gear on it, so suck it, people. No. So there were those 2 games. Then there was the Game Boy Color game, and then there was Twin Snakes when Snake was introduced. Because later we also had Metal Gear 3 on the 3DS. So. Right. But. Anyway, so yeah, and I know that's not the end-all, be-all of everything, but like I've always felt like, Sakurai himself has said it would be, I don't remember the term he used, like it would be nice, like a courtesy if they were on a Nintendo console. So it's clearly something that has part of it, but isn't kind of the main part of it. Like it's not necessary, but it gives you points,
right?
If you have some sort of connection to Nintendo. Doom is another game where the protagonist, I like it actually. I like this choice conceptually a little bit better than somebody from Skyrim, because the Doom Slayer, Doom guy, whatever you want to call him, the Space Marine, he has a look. He has a look that we know of from the game, and he's like a defined character. He's not just like a faceless avatar. So what are your thoughts on the Doom Slayer?
Well, first of all, I mean, if you remember Snake and the entire circumstance of his inclusion in Brawl, I think there was one column where they had to discuss, your character has to be okay with getting choked by this tall, bearded man who's a military guy. So I kind of think that same concept would apply for the Doom guy, except it's a lot tougher to justify, in my opinion, because, the Doom guy's preferred method of execution with his infamous glory kills. And of course you could tone that down a bit, but you have to imagine that it's going to be hard to get like Game Freak to approve of the Doom Slayer viciously mauling a Pikachu or something like that.
And I feel like having Mario and Kirby fighting literally in hell would be weird. The hell stage would be. I mean, it doesn't have to necessarily be hell. It could be I don't know, where did it take place? Mars, Pluto, Mars. Yeah, I mean, the different games have had different locations, but still, like just the entire aesthetics of the game. And unlike we'll bring up Snake. Snake can use some exaggerated weapons, sure. Bayonetta uses guns, but I feel like a lot of the weapons that are tied to Doom are very realistic. I mean, you can use a BFG, you could use plasma guns, rocket launchers. He's got all sorts of stuff. But at the same time, like he's known for the pistol, he's known for the shotgun, the chain gun, the chainsaw. For a chainsaw. Yeah, there's these very realistic weapons, like and the violence is so inherent in that character that it's so hard to kind of like separate it out and make a more friendly version. I don't think it's impossible. Like I said, they did a good job, for instance, toning down the sexuality of Bayonetta in a way that doesn't really take away from the sexuality of the character, if that makes sense,
Yeah. You still recognize that it's supposed to be Bayonetta in all her sexy glory, but it's toned down for E10 of all things.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think it could happen. It's just it would be hard. Like the Doomslayer is a hardcore character. It is a very violent series. It's always been pretty violent. The weapons, a lot of the weapons are realistic. You could, cut some of them off, but that would be odd. I think he does, like any Bethesda rep or any Western rep, he's got, those hurdles as well. I think he does have a good look. I think the game series, it's an iconic series.
Yes, it is.
I think the series itself is a little bit more iconic than he is. However, I don't think that matters. I think people still kind of recognize him if you see him just because of the cover art, Mm-hmm. And I also think it's an important series. It was a game that kind of legitimized, I think, first-person shooters to a lot of people. It had early console crossover, before the days of, kind of GoldenEye and N64 bringing in a bunch of first-person shooters. I feel like Doom was kind of one of the bigger games you could get on consoles that was a first-person shooter.
Yes.
If not the biggest. And it's a very important game historically for multiplayer shooters, for all of that. It's a long-standing series. Both, I didn't really talk about this when we talked about Elder Scrolls, but both the Doom series and Elder Scrolls are very well-selling series, and series that have a lot of history behind them. And both of those are great things for Smash. Hey, this is a popular series. It's sold well. It's had some critically well-acclaimed games. And it's been around forever. I mean, the first Elder Scrolls game came out in 1994. Doom. When did the original Doom come out?
93, I think.
Yeah, I was about to say it was the early 90s. It was 93. Good job. So I mean, yeah, both of them are about the same age as well. So that's something else to look at. You once again bring up Bayonetta. It is not Bayonetta. I think is kind of a special circumstance because of the vote as well, but it's not, I guess, 100% important that characters come from series that have a legacy. But I mean, Sakurai once again did say that it's good if characters carry game history with them, and right. The Elder Scrolls and Doom series both have history. They're both important games. They're both games that kind of highlight an entire genre. Very important Western genres, by the way, being first-person shooters and open-world RPGs. So, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on Doom and a little bit more on Skyrim. I see big minuses kind of for both Doom and Skyrim, but I feel like they also have all of the justifications to work if you can build everything up around them. If you can get them to work, there's reasons for them to work. You know what I mean?
Yes, of course.
All right. So, are there any other, I guess, Bethesda franchises? I guess we could talk about Fallout. Is probably currently their next biggest franchise, I would say.
Right. And it's tougher to justify.
Yeah. Once again, it has absolutely no Nintendo representation, which doesn't matter. I mean, well, no, it does matter. It does matter, but it doesn't exclude them. I'll say it doesn't exclude a Fallout rep.
The problem there is actually finding someone, because unlike, say, Skyrim has the iconic Dragonborn that you see in the trailer. Doom has the Doom guy. I mean, Fallout at best has the Lone Wanderer, which has changed. Well, no, not the Lone. Well, the different incarnations of the Lone Wanderer. I mean, sometimes it's different. Like in New Vegas, it's the Postal guy or whatever he was called. I never played that, but Fallout really doesn't have a set character that you can really pull from, even in the realm of your custom avatar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like Fallout isn't as big overall as Doom or Skyrim, or as important overall. It's a great series, but I mean, I don't know. Can we actually get the little cartoon version of Pip-Boy? Just have him as a...
What? Oh, the Vault Boy.
Vault Boy, yeah, Vault Boy. Yeah, sorry. Clearly, I don't play enough Fallout. Clearly, I've only ever played Fallout 3, and a long time ago.
Same.
Yeah, Fallout, I wouldn't say it's fallen on hard times. I know Fallout 4 was successful, but not as well received as Fallout 3. And I haven't heard anything from the franchise since then?
I mean, of course, they're going to be busy with their other franchises.
Right.
I mean, they're probably doing something Fallout related anyway, but that's a different topic. I think.
Right.
But going back on track for a minute, I think that Fallout's biggest problem is that compared to Doom, it's probably a bit less violent, but it's a bit more realistic, if you can say that. I mean, your weapons are literally mini nukes, machine guns, even if there are some comical things like laser pistols and swords. I mean,
right.
Fallout is infinitely more realistic than Doom could ever hope to be.
Yeah, I mean, and speaking of which, we can bring up Wolfenstein, which
is not happening.
Which is like Doom, but you remove some of the fantastical weapons. Well, with the newer ones, you get more fantastical weapons, but also Nazis. Lots of Nazis.
Yeah, let's not go there.
No, you don't want a stage full of swastikas in Smash Brothers?
Of course not.
Yeah, I think anything that here's my thoughts. Anything that Wolfenstein brings to the table as far as playable characters go is what's his name, BJ Blazkowicz or something.
He's literally the only character that you could possibly consider.
Right, and he's in all the games. Anything that he brings to the table, I mean, basically Doom Guy could do too, but without Nazis.
They banned me's online for a reason, you know.
Yeah, so
they didn't want people running around as this small mustache crazy man.
But that's enough talk about Mario. So,
you got.
Let's talk. Yeah, all right. Let's talk about. I guess besides that, there isn't much. The Evil Within, Prey, Quake. Quake could actually be kind of cool because Quake actually matches up with Doom, but instead of using realistic or sci-fi weapons, it's all like fantasy weapons. So you can get a lot that you would get out of Doom with getting around things by making it a little bit more fantastical. I don't think it would happen. Quake hasn't really been a very big series in years, but
yeah, nobody cares for Quake.
Right. I don't know. Dishonored.
Nope, probably not.
Did I say The Evil Within?
Yes, you already said it, and probably not happening either. Literally nothing else is viable, honestly.
Rage.
Nope. Like, at this point, you have to really stretch to try and find something from Bethesda that isn't Doom, Skyrim, or Fallout. And even Fallout's a bit of a stretch if we're being totally honest.
Well, I mean, I'm looking it up here, and they did do Where's Waldo on the Nintendo Entertainment System in 1991, so...
Probably not happening.
I mean, I would be down for Waldo in Smash. His, clearly Waldo's, kind of entire gimmick would be that you wouldn't be able to find him.
Oh, so you're insane, mate. What are you going to suggest? The Ninja Turtles and oh, wait.
You know what? I am completely fine with that. They are comic book characters. I like guest characters. Once again, that is not this discussion, though. Discussion for another day.
I wanted to jest.
Yes, I know. So, I mean, I guess that's pretty much it. We are... I guess wrapping this up, is there really anything else that you'd like to add?
Well, let's hope no arrows in the knee stop the Skyrim guy if he ever comes around.
I guess that's the other thing. There's too many archers. You can't have Skyrim character, clearly. All right, guys. Well, this has been Spazzy and Liquid. Just doing another quick Smash for Switch Source Gaming discussion. Where can people find you, Liquid?
Twitter at LIQUID12A.
Find me on Twitter as well with 8bit_Spazzy. As always, hey, like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. You can also find us at sourcegaming.info, source-gaming.com, right here on our YouTube channel. You guys have a great day.